Hello, it's Office Hours for this, the 21st of August. And if you've never been to Office Hours before, this is just your chance to come and ask me questions about really whatever. And I may or may not be able to answer those questions. So I will do my very best. So I do have a couple of questions queued up here in the Discord. I give priority to people who are in the Zoom call, so please feel free to join the Zoom call. You can find a link to that in the description. And without further ado, let's get into this the office hours today. So let me actually also I like to grab the YouTube, stick that right here so that we have that as a record to keep track of those things. We've got a question here from Jog. Here I'm actually going to say reply Jog. Yep, answering this now. Okay, so let's take a look. We've got web workers in the Epic stack. This is based off of what we have in Epic React, where I talk about web workers, but Epic React is not using the Epic stack. It's using Vite, but it's not using React Router or any of that. And so just trying to figure out how do you apply what we did from that in a React Router environment. In particular, Epic Stack is server rendered, and so that's what's causing most of the trouble here. And it looks like, so I recommended looking into client modules because web workers are a client-side thing. And so that helped a bit. Why does the inclusion of the file workers index client in the entry client guarantee city's promise is defined before the city chooser component? Probably because, yeah, you're not showing me the city chooser component. Yeah, it's not showing in here. So I can't like show you in the code, but basically by putting it in a client file, or by not having it in a client file, that file will run both on the server and on the client. And that can be a problem on the server. And so without looking at this exact code, I can't exactly describe to you why that's happening or what exactly is happening. But yeah, the basic idea is if it's running on the server, then weird things are going to happen because what you're trying to do is run a web worker in the client. And so by putting it in the client, it ensures that it is bundled properly so that it doesn't show up in the server. Yeah, have it load and logging on the client side. However, Remix warns that city's promise inside city chooser component is initially undefined. Yeah, that would be because the city's promise, I'm assuming. Yeah, I wish I could see some of your code. You have your initial city's promise here. Use city's promise. So that initial city's promise, yeah, so this is what's going on. This is running on the server as well as on the client. This one is just running on the client. And so on the server side, initial city's promise is going to be undefined. You will not have access to any of these properties on the server render. And so when you say initial city's promise, you're going to get city's promise is undefined on the server. So that's probably the warning that we're looking at. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. All good. Yeah. Switch to client rendering. Yes, because the server got undefined. That's why. So here's the success with client loader. This is what I was going to suggest today in office hours. So this works out nicely. The client loader runs on the client. It's a good place to initialize stuff like this for your route to say, hey, this route needs a worker, a web worker. Yeah, then you can return the initial city's promise. This way, when you, here, let's see if I can look at your specific code. Let's see. Actually, probably cities. Here we go. Route cities. All right. So if we look at index, okay, we got our filter cities worker, new worker. Okay, here we go. Yes, this is exactly where you want to put it. And then that client loader then can come in. It will actually come in as props to your city route. So you can import, it'd be import route or type route from types, or yeah, is it types index tsx? I think that's where you're going to get the type. And then, so instead of loader function args here, you do route.loader args, and then instead of client loader function args, you do route dot, and like all of the autocomplete, like your type checking will be much better. Look at the rest of the Epic stack. It's all using this special typing stuff. And then city route will actually receive a props, which you can get types for from the route. If you look at all the rest of the Epic stack, it's all in that format. So in any case, whatever you return here will be your loader data that you get here. If you need to also have a server loader, then you can make your client loader make a request, or actually it accepts right here. It accepts the server loader, so you can combine those if you need to. But the point is that the client loader is going to run before rendering the city route, with this hydrate fallback being rendered, because you have this hydrate true. Hold on, hydrate true. That's not something I've actually done before, so I might be saying this in reverse. Let's look at that really quick. Hydrate. I guess, yeah, let's just go to client loader hydrate. Okay, yeah, client loaders can participate in initial page load hydration of server render pages by setting hydrate. I'm not sure I understand what this means. I'm actually a little bit confused what that means. I do remember when it was introduced, but I've still never actually used well, I used a client loader, but I didn't use hydrate true. So I'd have to play around with that to be able to tell you exactly what that's doing. But it does have something to do with the hydrate fallback. The way that I understand it is that on the server, the hydrate fallback is going to be rendered. And then on the client, before it renders the city route, it's going to hydrate with that hydrate fallback. And then it's going to call the client loader. And once that resolves, it will render the city route instead. Hydrate true changes that somehow. I'm not totally sure how. So I just can't remember. But in any case, to answer your question, yes, this is exactly where you'd want to initialize the worker. If you don't, you could do something similar to what we do in Epic React, where you're using use effects and stuff inside of the city route. Well, actually, back that up. That's what we used to do in the old Epic React. And now what I do is similar to what you were already doing, you initialize the promise at the module level, and then you use the use hook. But that's problematic for us because we're server rendering in this file. And yeah, so like if you wanted to go that direction, then you would make a client module. You would just have to initialize that client module in the city route inside of a use effect, because you need that to only happen on the client. There are utilities that you can use for having like client-only components and stuff like that that make that a lot easier, but this is way better. Just do this. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. But the main thread is slow. Yeah. So the web worker is going to solve some of your problems, but I'm guessing the other problems that you have is that you still have like 60,000 cities that it's filtering, and that's all happening, or that's not happening on the main thread because you put it in a web worker, but rendering all of those is happening on the main thread, and that's why it's still slow. Continue through the React Performance Workshop, and you will get to the right place eventually. So answered at the start of this office hours. Okay, cool. Let's get back to office hours now. And hopefully that answers your question. I noticed we do have somebody here in the Zoom call. So they just sent me a chat. Let me switch to this. There we go. Hi there. You can feel free to unmute and ask questions, but chat works as well. If you're going to just chat, then I prefer those to show up in here for historical reasons, like so people can look at it later, but I'll just read it here. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Also, a quick question. Why don't you create a new course specifically for covering JS? Something like just JavaScript, but by you covering everything in JS. This is actually something I've wanted to do for a long time. This will probably never happen if I'm being honest, but yeah, in my 2010s blog post at the very end, I said, here's what's coming up in the next decade. And it was this post from Aaron. I'm expecting you to announce your online Kent C. Dodds Engineering Bootcamp. I'm planning on doing this. This has always been kind of something I want to do, a KCD EDU, where I take you from zero to hero in software development. And so that requires, like, here's the beginning, like everything you need to know about JavaScript, everything you need to know about HTML and CSS and all of the things. The problem with this is that there's just so much, there are great resources already for that. And there's so much that still needs to be taught in the more advanced stuff that it's really hard for me to justify taking the time to do the beginner stuff. And so this will probably never happen just because I don't have the time to do it. The other aspect of that is I probably wouldn't charge anything for at least the really, really beginner stuff, because lots of people who are just learning the beginning stuff aren't even sure that they want to be developers. They're just kind of exploring it. And I don't want to like build an empire and my kingdom on people's hopes and dreams, right? So it would be something that I do for free. So maybe when I'm independently wealthy and don't need to think about money anymore, I would do that as like a philanthropical thing, I suppose. But yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that very much. I do think that there's probably a gap that I can fill there. The way that I teach, I think, is really good and everything, but I'm too busy. I have so many other things that I need to teach. So eventually, I'd like to do that. I appreciate your faith in me. So we'll see if that ever happens. Probably won't. Don't count on it, I guess. Okay, great. Let's get to this question here. Using Gemini's API, I'm trying to find a way to, oh, here, let me also reply, yeah, that, answering this now. I gotta spell now correctly, otherwise it'll be confusing. Wave at myself, I guess. Okay, here we go. Okay, using Gemini's API, trying to find a way to use it while not exposing API key in the front end. That's good. The issue is that if I'm using a serverless backend like Cloudflare, every time a user wants to chat with the AI, it sends a request through Cloudflare Worker and creates a new chat instead of being persistent in using the already created one. Is there a better way to do this? I'm really struggling. I don't think it would be that difficult or the best practice. Thanks in advance. So yeah, for the first part, yes, you're doing the right thing. Putting it in a Cloudflare Worker is a good way to hide the API key so people can't grab it and use it for their own nefarious purposes. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. The problem that you're facing, creating a new worker instead of using the same chat room, I would absolutely have to see how you what the code for your Cloudflare Worker looks like. I can definitely not just know what's causing your problems. So yeah, sorry, that's as far as I can take it. You can look at some examples. Cloudflare chat room example. This is a pretty common use case for Cloudflare workers. Yeah, like, I don't know, there's the durable objects. And like I have done, not really chat rooms, but I've done the presence. So if we go to React hooks, or yeah, hooks.epicreact.dev, the presence feature right here, this is using PartyKit, which is built on top of Cloudflare workers, and was actually acquired by Cloudflare. So Party Kit might be something that's useful. So maybe that would be helpful. Yeah, answering this now. I'll just toss that in there. Yeah, that could help with something like that. Oh, look, Epic Web. Haha, that's cool. What is this? Oh, nice. It's just a link. Nice. Hey, wait, am I on here? I've said nice things. Okay, just right there. Anyway, yeah, so feel free to take a look at Party Kit as a solution to making this a little easier. But yeah, without seeing your code, I can't tell you why you're creating a new room every time. You probably want to do something with state in your worker. Where's the export in this thing? I'm a little export class rate limiter now. Chat room. Here we go. So this is a durable object. It's configured in the in the Wrangler TOML. We've got our chat room SQLite class. We have bound rooms to the chat room. So that's where the durable object comes in. And if we go, I think it's env rooms. There it is. This is creating a new room. Otherwise, yeah, it looks like public list rooms. That's where you do that. Otherwise, we have an ID, specific ID. So we're going to retrieve that ID from string. So these are just methods that you can call on the durable object to retrieve an existing instance of that durable object. Get the durable object stub for the room. There's a room object, and then we do a fetch to that durable object. So I don't know if that helps. Hopefully kind of helps. Feel free to dive into that. But honestly, I would probably just use Party Kit. They have lots of really nice utilities for stuff like that. Okay, we got another question from here in the Zoom. How do you start learning stuff like how to build systems at scale and how to move from being senior dev to someone who thinks about how things will work, someone who's called as a solution architect? I don't have like resources to give you. This is mostly something that you develop experience doing these things. If you're at a big company where there are developers in those positions like the solution architects, then hang out with them and see if you can like hang out in the meetings that they hang out in, develop that experience, have them give you the tasks that the kinds of tasks that they do, but they don't necessarily want to. Ask them if you can pair with them. If you're not at a big company that has solution architects, you're at maybe a smaller company or something, congratulations, you are the solution architect and you just have to kind of figure it out. And that was one of the things that helped me is I joined a company where I was the only front-end developer. And so I had to take on the entire, that half of the stack, and that helped a lot. Then I went to PayPal and I expanded to more full stack stuff. And so it's really just kind of I can't give you specific resources to go to. Each company seems to do things differently anyway. And that's probably why there aren't a lot of great resources for this. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't give you like a better answer than that. You just gotta put in extra effort to, I guess, what am I looking for? To explore the way that solutions are architected at your company. And I'm sorry, I just realized I don't think that I'm sharing my screen with the Zoom. So let me do that really quick. Yoink. Yes, there we go. Okay, and this, we're going to make it big. There we go. Hopefully that answers your questions. And I actually have to get running because I've got some stuff to do today. So With that, I just got a YouTube question. Recently, it's getting hard to get a job as a senior front-end engineer due to a lack of experience with AI. I was wondering what sort of things I should add to my resume to compete with others. How about experience with AI? I would say like develop that experience with AI, and you can stick that on your resume. It is really, really rare to get picked up because of your resume. So what I would focus my efforts on are developing relationships with the people that you want to work with. That would probably be the most valuable thing that you could spend your time doing, is like, aside from, of course, like developing your skills and building out your portfolio and stuff like that. And also, like you should definitely develop experience with AI. That like it is hard to compete if you don't have experience with AI right now. So develop relationships, develop experience with not just with AI, but like experience in general. Good luck. We've got a question from Burbman. How can I set up and determine which environment I'm in and load content based on whether I'm in production, development, or testing? That's going to depend a lot on the way that your application is set up. But you could look at how we do this in the Epic Stack, and maybe that will give you some idea. So if we go Epic Stack, it's in here. I'll stick this in the chat. If you just starting with the package JSON is always a nice place to start, other than the README, of course. But we've got our dev script right here. You'll see we've got node environment is development, mocks is true, and then we start our dev server. But this is going to be different. Maybe you're not running Node. Maybe you're running in Cloudflare, and they're going to have a slightly different way to configure your environment and stuff like that. So with that, though, it's kind of interesting. If we go to the index, because hold on, that's where, right here, we actually start with the dev server. So let's go to server, dev server. So this is going to say if we're in production, then just run the server build index file. Otherwise, let's run this command. So this gets us running in watch mode. So our server will restart when there are changes. We're going to ignore a couple of things. We don't care if there are changes to these files. We run inspect so that we can use the node debugger. And then we run the index file. Then we provide that command and all of that stuff. So coming back to our index. That's interesting. Yeah. So coming back to our index here. Set up our source maps, and then we say if mocks is true, then we're going to import the mocks, and then if we're in production, run the server build. If we're not, then we're going to import the TypeScript file, and that's why we're running with TSX. So the mocks, that sets up MSW, so that's a good way to mock out things locally. It's awesome, fabulous, love it very much. In fact, you could even not mock things out locally. You could have it do remote fetches and stuff, but it acts as kind of a proxy for you. And then if we look at our, actually that's as far as we go. So yeah, it's just the node environment is a pretty common way to do that. Hopefully that helps. Just got another question here in Zoom. Do you have a blog where you mention what helped you in the beginning of your career in terms of what you read the 2010 in review? Anything else if it's written somewhere, if you can share? The 2010 in review is probably going to be the best resource, but I also have my appearances page, and some of these are like kind of a little history of Kent C. Dodds. I don't know that I can point to a specific one, but maybe some of the titles here would catch your eye. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, let me double check the Discord. We're not getting any other chats in here. We're good, solid. Let's check the leaderboard for the fun of it. People are still reading my blog posts. Interestingly, I saw somebody yesterday say that they were at the talk that I gave at that conference last year, and I mentioned that I had over 500,000 blog post reads, and they were comparing that to themselves on Dev 2. They had 400,000, and they just hit 500,000, and they were really excited about it. And I didn't have the heart to tell them, but Dev 2, as far as I'm aware, they track page views, not blog post reads. My blog, I only track actually reads of blog posts. I mark it as read if they've only been on the page long enough to read it, and they've scrolled the entire page. And so I probably have a lot more views than almost 1 million now. But yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell them that. We're not. It's fine. I'm happy that they have that's actually a lot of views too, so that's good for them. Okay, great. Have a great day to you also. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that you have a fabulous day. Feel free to join me next week. I've got some really exciting things coming up, and also you can use the Call Kent podcast if you have any questions there too. Let me show you that in case for any who are unaware. I do have a podcast that is effectively just a question answer. Somebody asks me a question, I will answer, and you ask your question by recording in your browser right here. You say whatever you need to say, and then you can submit that to me, and I will listen to it and respond, and that turns into a podcast episode. It's been a while since I've gotten one of these, so if you do have any other questions or anything, then let me know. I just realized this only goes out to season 3. What the? That's weird. Huh. I'll have to look at what's going on with that, because season 3 should have 50 episodes, and we should have 2 and 1 as well. So I'll have to look at that. Anyway, thanks everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you all in the future. Bye.